Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear student. Today, our lecture is about the epistemology. So, before going to start our today's lecture, first of all, we will revise the previous lecture. In previous three lectures, we have learned about the philosophy of religion, and we have learned different concepts in the philosophy of religion. The first concept we have learned about the existence of God, and then we have learned the nature of evil, arguments and solutions, and then in the last lecture we have learned about the philosophy of in the philosophy of religion, the life after death, and what is the concept of life after death in different religions, and what are the different philosophical point of view of the different philosophers about the life after death, and what are their arguments, and what are their criticism, and what they suggest about the life after death, and what the religion teachings of different religions about the life after death. In previous lecture we have discussed the that we will compare and analyze the different types of modes of life after death, and secondly we will consider the more general philosophical arguments for and against the life after death. First of all, we have discussed about the monoism and dualism concept. In the monoism concept about the life after death is that uh, the body and soul is the single entity, the simple concept. You keep it in your mind. The monoism concept about the life after death is that the body and soul is the single entity, and the dualism concept is about the life after death is the body and souls uh, are formed of different parts, body and soul. So this is the monoism concept. So this is the dualism concept. Then we have discussed about the resurrection. What it is actually. The resurrection is the Latin word, and it's mean raised up again, as it is also the concept in our Islam, and this is the concept of all the revealed religion concept, like Judaism, like Christianity, and like Islam. So all these concepts related to the resurrections are related to the we find out in all these concepts in the revealed religion scriptures. Then we have discussed the different the philosophers point of view, their arguments. Some says in the favor of the resurrection argument. Saint Paul said that if the Jesus is resurrected, then definitely all people will be resurrected. Thomas Aquinas adopted Aristotle's ideas that the person has no truly independent soul, arguing that the nature condition of the human soul is to be united with a body. And Aquinas says the natural condition of the human soul is to be united with a body. No body is equal to no self. And the Saint Paul says if Christ is proclaimed, what I have discussed earlier. And in the concentration of the resurrection, Brown Williams says resurrection lies on the frontier of any possible language. It is difficult, mystical idea, but a part of Christian faith. So Williams may be the right, but it is the acceptable to maintain a belief in something which cannot adequately be desired. Uh, then we have discussed the some argument against the Christian argument about creation or the resurrection or Jesus will not be persuasive to non-believers. They are based on the scripture alone. So the non-believer says that this is the scriptures thing. This is the teachings of the books. So they don't believe on this. The idea of physical body being remade seem strange and mythological. So their point of view about it, that how this when this body will be destroyed, then how it will be reorganized and rebirth, and how it is possible. So because they don't believe on any scripture. Then we have discussed the immortality of the soul, what it is, the belief that the soul is distinct and immortal entity within the body, and this is the concept of dualism. And in immortality of the soul, the Socrates, the only person, life cannot emerge from a dead thing, something living must have given life to the body. So the soul is that which renders body living. The immortal soul enters the body at birth and leaves it at death. Descartes, a French mathematician and philosopher, added that my own arguments in favor of an immortal soul, I can prove that my thinking self exists, I think, therefore I am. So the immortality, then we have discussed the immortality of the argument against the view that the soul of mind exists independently of the body is a form of the dualism. Then we have discussed the concept of reincarnation. Reincarnation mean the body to be made again in the flesh, and it is the view that the essential self our soul will survive death and be born again in another world. This is the concept of Hinduism, that after the death the concept of janam, other janam, first janam, second janam, seven janam, they have the different concept like this. And they said that the body the soul is travel from one body to another body. If the body is poised and have good character, then it will be travel to another world in a good body soul, if this soul is good. And if his soul is have not good character and is wrong one, then it will be travel to a wrong body. And this is the Hindu concept. Then somebody says, then we have discussed the arguments in favor and in arguments against. Then the another concept of rebirth, this is the concept of Buddhism. The Buddhist teaching that we have no essential self or soul, another true selfhood is an illusion. Everything, include conscious life, is forever changing, anika. This means that there is no personal afterlife, but uh, instead a constant cycle of rebirth, samsara. Rebirth is a fixed principle of reality. So this is the concept of Buddhism, rebirth. And then we have discussed different arguments in favor, and we have discussed the argument against. Then we have discussed the philosophical arguments, life after death, and what would be the question like this. I am going to give you the assignment on this question in after delivering this lecture, epistemology. So be ready about this, that we have discussed in detail everything, life after death. So the question should be like this, inshallah you will find out in your assignment. Question: arguing over the life after death. Then we have discussed the evidence for life after death, some supernatural psychic evidence, some revelational authorities, some rational logical arguments. So, and there are also a criticism on this, but that the main thing is this, that uh, if we conclude the life after death topic, philosophy of religion, that in every religion, in every philosophy, everybody has the concept that there is the concept of right and wrong, there is the concept of reward and punishment, there is the concept of free will. So that's mean, yes, of course there is another life, there is afterlife, there is a day of judgment, there is a resurrection. So they have different religions, they have different point of view, philosophers have different point of view, they have their thinking, their philosophy about this. So this was our previous lecture about the life after death in the philosophy of religion. We have completed three main topic. So today our topic is about the epistemology. What is epistemology? Introduction. Epistemology is the study of the nature and the scope of knowledge and justified belief. It analyzes the nature of knowledge and how it relates to similar notions such as truth, belief, and justification. So this topic is related with the philosophy of knowledge, and there are three things In this lecture, we will discuss about the three belief about actually the actually this philosophy is started by the Plato, and his concept is about knowledge is that the knowledge means true belief. So it is also deal with the means of production of knowledge as well as skepticism about different knowledge claims. It is essentially about issues having to do with the creation and dissemination of knowledge in particular areas of inquiry. So this is related to the knowledge and true belief and started by the Plato, and we are going to discuss here everything one by one. Epistemology asks questions like what is knowledge, how is knowledge acquired, what do people know, what are the necessary and sufficient conditions of knowledge, what is its structure and what are its limits, what makes justified beliefs justified, how we are to understand the concept of justification, is justification internal or external to one's own mind. So there are the different questions about the epistemology and the study of the philosophy, study of the knowledge, and there the number of questions arises by the different philosophers about and their philosophies, that what is the kind of knowledge usually discussed in epistemology is propositional knowledge. So knowledge that is proposed to knowledge how. So this actually discussed in epistemology the propositional knowledge, that knowledge that is opposed to knowledge how. Knowledge that is opposed to knowledge how. So what is knowledge that and what is knowledge how, क्या है और कैसे है, see. For example, the knowledge that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 is opposed to the knowledge of how to go about adding two numbers. So this is the you can say inquiring something, asking something more to elaborate that how you add 2 plus 2 is equal to 8. So this is the propositional knowledge about the knowledge that means knowledge that means the actual knowledge, the existing knowledge which is prevalent in the society, which is in the universe, and how it is, how it would be, how people acquire this, why is this, is it knowledge, is it not knowledge. So there are number of the questions and the point of view and the arguments about the knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge is the awareness and understanding of particular aspects of reality. So simply it is means knowledge mean understanding, simply mean awareness, simply mean knowing something about anything, whatever the thing you can say, either it is related to the ideas, either related to a special topic, related to the subject, related to any profession, related to anything. So simply it means the understanding, mean know how, what it is. It is the clear lucid information gained through the process of reason applied to reality. So this is related to your cognitions, your rationality, your reasoning, your effort to ponder it and to get something, to acquire something, to understand with your reason how it is, what it is, from where it is. So the traditional approach is that knowledge requires three necessary and sufficient conditions so that knowledge can then be defined as justified true belief. So this is the concept given by the Plato about the knowledge, that this is knowledge means justified true belief. Now we are going to analyze the three things, the truth, since number one, truth, uh, since false propositions cannot be known, for something to count as knowledge it must actually be true. So if you are considering about this is the knowledge. So Aristotle famously but rather confusingly expressed it to say of something which is that it is not, or to say of something which is not that it is false. However, to say of something which is that it is, or of something which is not that is not, is true. So this is Aristotle point of view about he is saying that to say something which is that is not, or to say of something which is not that it is कि वो है या नहीं है is false. This is false. However, to say something which is that it is, or of something which is that is not that it is not, is true. So this is his point of view about the truth. He confusingly express it about that what is truth. He's in a philosophical point of view. He expressing it that what we are saying what is truth, how we can define the truth, and how we can say this is true, this is the actual thing. Belief. Now what is belief? Because one cannot know something that one does not even believe in. The statement I know X but I don't believe that X is true is contradictory. So this is simply because one cannot know something that one does not even believe in. So in that statement I know X, but I don't believe that X is true is contradictory. So simply, of course, I know him, but I don't believe on him. This is true. This is contradictory because when you know someone, then you believe someone. Justification, as opposed to believing in something purely as a matter of luck. So it depends upon, justification means the matter of luck. The most contentious part of all this is the definition of justification, and there are several schools of thought on the subject. According to evidentialism, uh, evidence, evident, and this word is derived from the evidence, evidentialism. What makes a belief justified in this sense is the possession of evidence. A belief is justified to the extent that it fits a person's evidence. So there must be for a belief that it is true, or this is the belief, there must be evidence. Different varieties of reliabilism suggest that either, and there is another concept about the reliabilism, the people who rely on things, and what they suggest about the justification is not necessary for knowledge provided it is a reliably produced true belief. So their concept number one, that it must be true belief, and justification is required, but any reliable cognitive process, for example a vision, is sufficient justification. So of course belief need vision, and relate cognition, relate rationalism. So this means that the justification is required, but any reliable cognitive process, vision, is sufficient justification. Yet another school, infallibilism. So this word is derived from infallibility and infallibilism, the school of thought, the philosophy about the knowledge, uh, holds that a belief must not only be true and justified, but that the justification of the belief must necessitate its truth, so that the justification for the belief must be infallible. So their concept is that the justification of belief depends upon the infallibility. If there is infallibility, then it is justified. Another debate focus on whether justification is external or internal. Externalism This is the another philosophy about the knowledge. Hold those factors deemed external, meaning outside of the psychological states of those who are gaining the knowledge, can be conditions of knowledge, so that if the relevant facts justifying a proposition are external, then they are acceptable. So their claim is about that knowledge is 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 from outside. It is from the external property, and if somebody claim that this is related to the external, so then they accept this. If somebody is not claiming, somebody is not saying that this is not the external thing, so they are not accepting this. And internalism, on the other hand, claims that all knowledge yielding conditions are within the psychological state of those who gain knowledge. So, another point of view about the internalism said that this is the inside conditions, and the knowledge is from inside or within the psychological state of those who gain knowledge. The person who gain knowledge, the anybody gain the knowledge from the this is from the inside. This is the philosophy and the concept of internalism. As recently as 1963, the American philosopher Edmund Gitter called this traditional theory of knowledge into question by claiming that there are certain circumstances in which one does not have knowledge even when all of the above conditions are met. His Gitter uh, cases, for example. So, what he tried to prove about the knowledge, that theory is traditional theory of knowledge, by claiming that there are certain circumstances in which one does not have knowledge even when all of the above conditions are met. So, how he prove his theory by, for example, suppose that the clock on campus, which keeps accurate time and is well maintained, stopped working at 11:56 p.m. last night and has yet to be repaired. On my way to my noon class, exactly 12 hours later, I glance at the clock and form the belief that the time is 11:56. My belief is true. Of course, since the time is indeed 11:56 and my belief is justified, as I have no reason to doubt that the clock is working, and I cannot be blamed for basing beliefs about the time on what the clock says. Nonetheless, it seems evident that I do not know that the time is 11:56. After all, if I had walked past the clock a bit earlier or a bit later, I would have ended up with a false belief rather than a true belief. So, this is his point of view. Simply, he said, if uh, somebody believing on something that he is right, so if either he is not right, not wrong, his belief is justified. So when he believe something on this, so belief is so if we analyze this example, it's mean that the belief is related to your heart, where there is no other. It means the faith. I mean that there is no other substitute of it. When you believing on someone, when you say that this thing is like this and this, then you don't analyze either it is right or wrong. Then you should believe on it on with all of your heart and all of your thoughts. So that is going to prove what I understand from this example. I don't know what exactly he is trying to telling us what it's mean. How is knowledge acquired? Propositional knowledge can be of two types depending on its source. A priori knowledge, and this is related to the previous slide, and now this slide with in this slide you would be easily understand the concept of externalism and internalism. So the priori are non-empirical, where knowledge is possible independently of or prior to any experience and requires only the use of reason, for example knowledge of logical truths and the abstract claims. So this priori uh, theory about the knowledge said that the knowledge is uh, uh, mm, from the inner side, means the knowledge of your reason, and it is already existed in your reason, and when you use your reason then you acquire the knowledge, the logical truths and the abstract claims. And the posterior knowledge, this are empirical knowledge, where knowledge is possible only subsequent or posterior to certain sensory experiences in addition to the use of reason, knowledge of the color or shape of a physical object or knowledge of a geographical location. So this means that they are trying to prove this, that the knowledge is based on your experiments. The knowledge is what you have seen is based on your senses, is based on observation, means the scientific knowledge or your what you have acquired from the universe, from your around surrounding, from your education institution, from your elders, from your what you have uh, learn or understand from this world, with your parents, from your teachers, from your in your educational system. So this is means the posterior knowledge, and the priori knowledge means the knowledge is already existed, and we when we use our reason, when we use our logic, and when we use our cognition, then we can get the knowledge. So these are the different concepts, a priori concept and the posteriori concept about the knowledge. Knowledge is of empirical facts about the physical world will necessarily involve perception, in other words, the use of the senses. But all knowledge requires some amount of reasoning, the analysis of data, and the drawing of inferences. Of course, intuition is often believed to be a sort of direct access to knowledge of uh, the priori. So, intuition means your six senses, mean your inner self, means when you are perceiving something, and your vision. So this is related to the priori knowledge. Memory allow us to know something that we knew in the past, even perhaps if we no longer remember in the original justification. Knowledge can also be transmitted from one individual to another via testimony. That is, my justification for a particular belief could amount to the fact that some trusted source has told me that it is true. So this is a transmission process from one person to another person to with the testimony. So testimony, we money mean we are getting the evidence, we are giving the references that from this source I have got this knowledge. I am when we are claiming, we are going to claim something, and we are in the support our claim, when we are in argument, when we are in reasoning, when we are saying something, then we support our claim with the evidences from the books, from the quotation of the philosophers, from the thinkers, and the experiments. So this is the knowledge like this. Knowledge acquisition. There are a few main theories of knowledge acquisition empiricism, which emphasizes the role of experience, especially experience based on perceptual observations by the five senses in the formation of ideas, while discounting the notion of innate ideas. Uh, Refinements of the basics principles led to the phenomenalism, positivism, scientism, and logical positivism. So these are the different philosophies. The empiricism actually deal with the observation, deal with our five senses and the experience. So if we generally say this is they are talking about the scientific knowledge and the knowledge which is what we have got in our in this universe from our observation, from our senses, with the seeing, with touching, with testing, and with the experiment, with the observation, and to find out the results. So and so and there are refinements of the basics principle led to the some said this is the phenomenalism, like this concept is derived from the phenomena, and the positivism means this is from the positive side, and the scientism means scientists, and the logical positivism means the logical reasoning. So there is another concept, rationalism, which holds that knowledge is not derived from experience, but rather is acquired by a priori process or is innate in the form of concepts or intuitive. So rationalism said that this knowledge is from the inside of everybody, and through when he is using his reason, when he is using his mind, when he is thinking on something, when he is trying to know something, when he is trying to get knowledge, so and try to reason and try to on intuitions and to uh, so he can get knowledge. Representationalism, this is derived from the representation, or indirect realism, or epistemological dualism, which holds that the world we see in conscious experience is not the real world itself, but merely a miniature virtual reality replica of that world in an internal representation. So their point of view that this is the and this the external world is the replica of the internal world. So what is in inside we representation our their point, what I have understand on this concept, it means that what it is in your mind, in your and what you have to do with your thoughts, with your perception, with your senses, act. It means you have behaved and with your morality. When you have the positive nature, then your action will be positive. When you have the negative character and something negative in your mind, then your body will perform the negative things. So this is related to the inner self, and this is the replica of your internal and the external world is the replica of your internal representation. You are representing your inner self. If whatever your thought, whatever your mindset, then you will do according to this. If you are a positive man, then you will do a positive work, and then your action will be positive, and your action will be good for the benefit of the society, for the benefit of the people. And if you are negative minded, then it will be your act will be a negative. Constructivism, this word is derived from the constructions, and constructionism, which presupposes that all knowledge is constructed, in that it is contingent on convention, human perception, and social experiences. So, there mm, they said that the constructionism said that the all the knowledge is based on the conventions or the human experiences, or the traditions or the customs or the societal practices on the base of so this all the knowledge is like this. What can people know? And the fact that any given justification of knowledge will itself depend on another belief for its justification appears to lead to an infinite regress. Skepticism begins with the apparent impossibility of completing this infinite chain of reasoning and argues that ultimately no beliefs are justified and therefore no one really knows anything. So, this is the skepticism says. Fallibilism also claims that absolute certainty about knowledge is impossible, or at least that all claims to knowledge could, in principle, be mistaken. So, their point of view about knowledge is like this. Unlike skepticism, however, fallibilism does not imply the need to abandon our knowledge just to recognize that, because empirical knowledge can be revised by further observation. Any of the things we take as knowledge might possibly turn out to be false. So, this is the two concept. The skepticism says about knowledge like this, and the fallibilism like this. In response to this regress problem, various schools of thought have arisen. Uh, Foundationalism, uh, related to the foundations, claims that some beliefs that support other beliefs are foundational and do not themselves require justification by other beliefs. Self justifying or infallible beliefs are those based on perception or certain priori considerations. So, it means that if somebody believing on someone, it means that there is a foundation of some belief. So, this is the knowledge is related to the foundations. There is a foundation, there is a belief, there is a belief, then everybody self-justifying and infallible belief are those based on perception or certain a priori considerations. Instrumentalism, derived from the instruments, is the methodological view that concepts and theories are merely useful instruments, and their worth is measured by how effective they are in explaining and predicting phenomena. So, it means this is their point of view it about the theories are the instrument, and through these instruments we can judge or measure that how effective the predictions or phenomena are like this. Instrumentalism therefore denies that the theories are truth evaluable. They denies that if the truth is there any evaluation required or not required about the truth theories. Pragmatism is a similar concept which holds that something is true only insofar as it works and has practical consequences. So, their point of view that beliefs or knowledge, if had the practical consequences, so it is good. Infinitism, finitism mean this is related to the infinity. Typically talks that the infinite series uh, to be merely potential, and an individual need only have the ability to be bright for the relevant reasons when the need arises. Therefore, unlike most traditional theories of justification, infinitism considered an infinite regress to be a valid justification. Coherentism, coherentism holds that an individual belief is justified. Coherentism is related and derived the word from coherent, mean understanding, holds that an individual belief is justified circularly by the way it fits together, coherence, when he understand means simply if he understand then it fits together with the rest of the belief system of which it is a part, so that the regress does not proceed according to a pattern of linear justification. Found Foundherentism is another position which is meant to be unification of foundationalism and coherentism. So, foundationalism we have already discussed before earlier from the previous slide, and the coherentism. This is also the another theory of knowledge and the philosophy of the knowledge. There are under the heading of epistemology, the major doctrines and theories are includes like number of theories, constructivism, empiricism, fallibilism, historicism, internalism, logical positivism, logical empiricism, and the phenomenalism, pragmatism, representationalism, skepticism, deconstructionism, externalism, foundationalism, holism, instrumentalism, ordinary language philosophy, positivism, rationalism, scientism, verificationism. So these are the all the philosophies about the knowledge, and they on their philosophical way they try to find out the answers of the questions about what is knowledge and how it is, what it is, the questions we have already discussed earlier. So in our next lecture we will find out some concepts of Plato and Aristotle about what their theories about the epistemology, and then we analyze it with this. So this is the general concept about the what is the epistemology and what is the knowledge theory, and how philosophers think about and try to find out the answers of the questions about the knowledge, either it is from inside, from outside, either it is from the on the basis of reasons, either it is basis on the experiments, either it is itself something. So some say it is a belief, some said this is a knowledge, some said this is a understanding, some says that this is like uh, experiment, some says this is like your intuition. So these are the questions in a common man can also think about that what is knowledge. So this is our today lecture. So thank you very much. That's it for today.